Bisturk, the being of Helgoland. Deep beneath the cold waters of the North Sea, near the German island of Helgoland, there lives a being called Bisturk. His body is as black as the sea at night, for he is covered in dark, shaggy fur, and his yellow eyes glow in the eternal twilight of the deep. Silently, the being roams along the ocean floor, feeding on fish which he lures with a mysterious blue light. Bisturk produces this magical glow with his claws, and it fills the surrounding water with a soft, eerie shimmer. Yet Bisturk bears a task heavier than his existence in the depths. Whenever a person dies somewhere at sea whose heart was bound to the island of Helgoland, Bisturk perceives this fate. He sees it as a vision before him, clear and inescapable. Then he rises from the deep and makes his way toward the land. There he seeks out those who loved the deceased. He speaks no word, yet his mere presence brings certainty. Because Bisturk's duty is to deliver a message of mourning, sorrow is the only emotion he can feel. And wherever this being appears, his message is understood. One evening, Bisturk was seized by a new, dreamlike vision. Directly before him, he saw the image of a ship struggling far away in a storm. The waves towered high, the wind lashed the sea, and at last the ship broke apart and began to sink. In the freezing water, a sailor fought desperately for his life. He clung to his friend, trying to keep him afloat. But the friend died in his arms, marked by grave injuries, by weakness, and by the merciless cold of the sea. The living man realized it and began to grieve amid the black waves, while the ship sank behind him. Bisturk saw what had happened, and he knew that the dead man had been bound to the island of Helgoland. A woman was waiting there, unaware, for her husband. In silence, Bisturk set out through the dark waters and rose to the surface to bring the message that only he yet knew. Thus Bisturk emerged from the sea and stepped onto the evening shore of Helgoland. Behind him lay the calm sea reflecting the pale light of the moon. Slowly, the being placed one step after another upon the land. No sound accompanied his steps, only the gentle sound of the waves and the distant wind over the island's cliffs. He knew where he had to go. Through narrow paths and between darkened houses, Bisturk moved unnoticed by the inhabitants. He sought the home of the woman who still knew nothing of her loss. At last, the being reached the barn beside the house. He entered it immediately, and in one area of the barn he settled down and waited. From the moment Bisturk had taken his place in the barn, a strange restlessness seized the woman in the house next door. It was as though something unseen were calling her, urging her to go to the barn. Without hesitation, she took a lantern and stepped outside. Her heart beat nervously, though she did not know why. Step by step, she crossed the yard, opened the barn door, and entered. There, in the faint glow of the light, she saw the being. Bisturk sat motionless upon the ground, making no sound, his eyes fixed upon her. In that instant, she paused, and something within her understood what had happened. Before her inner eye appeared her husband. She saw him in the raging sea, saw his struggle, his exhaustion, and at last, his death. All became certain to her at once. She knew why the being, known to all on Helgoland, had come to her. She broke into tears and wept bitterly, for she now knew she would never see her husband again in this life. Deep sorrow filled the barn. Bisturk, however, rose in silence. His task was fulfilled, and so he returned, wordless, to the sea. Upon reaching the shore, Bisturk stepped back into the waters of the North Sea and began to swim away. Behind him lay the island of Helgoland, still beneath the pale moonlight, surrounded by the vast, cold depths from which he had come. Slowly, and for the last time in a long while, Bisturk turned his gaze back toward the island. Within him stirred something he felt only in such moments. The images of the evening returned once more. The sinking ship, the desperate sailor and his dead friend, the woman in the barn, her pain, her tears. All stood clear before him, and he lingered on these impressions longer than before. Then the feelings came. They surged through his entire being until they dissolved into silent tears. They slipped from his eyes and mingled with the salty waters of the sea. Softly, almost inaudibly, Bisturk sent his wish toward the island, that the grieving woman might find comfort, that her heart might one day grow lighter. Then the being turned away. Without casting another glance back, he plunged once more into the depths of the dark sea and left the world of men behind, until another day when Bisturk would have a new vision.